Hey World History, welcome to U14-L3, How to Write an Essay Part number 2. All right, so last time we talked about the introduction paragraph and the thesis statement. Now we are going to talk about body paragraph number 1, body paragraph number 2, and of course the conclusion, but that's later on. So for now, let's just focus on the body paragraphs. So, like I said before, you'll need 2 body paragraphs. Each paragraph focuses on an element about your topic. So, like we talked before in the thesis statement, body paragraph number 1 will focus on your first main point, which is also called why in your thesis statement. Okay? Body paragraph number 2 will focus on the second main point, Z, which you will see right here in your thesis statement. So, again, why in your thesis statement will be your topic for body paragraph number 1. And Z in your thesis statement will be your topic for body paragraph number 2. So, body paragraphs. The first sentence of a body paragraph is the topic of the body paragraph. It tells me what that paragraph is going to be all about. So, going back to the example of Clara Barton that you saw on the last slideshow as well. So this is what I said for the first body paragraph. I said Clara Barton's first importance to the American Civil War was her sense of care towards wounded soldiers. So this first sentence of the body paragraph tells me exactly what the rest of the body paragraph is going to be about. So in this case, it's going to be about Clara Barton and her sense of care towards wounded soldiers. After you're done with that first sentence that tells you what the body paragraph is going to be about, you're going to write 2 to 4 more sentences explaining more details about the topic of that body paragraph. So just 2 to 4 more sentences of just information. After that, you are going to add a quote to your paragraph. So you might be asking, how do I do a quote? I'm sure you've done quotes before in English class, and this is nothing real different. So a quote is a sentence from an article that you could not say better than the author already did. And usually a quote has some special meaning or message important to it. So can you just slap a quote into your paper? No, you can't. You need to insert it properly. So let's go through some examples. So let's say I have a quote, and the quote is from an article that does have an author, and that author's name is Tom Smith. So in my body paragraph, I might say something like, according to Tom Smith, and I put my quote, and then parentheses, Smith, parentheses, period. Okay? That's one of the simplest ways to do it, just according to. I might have another example, like let's say I have an article, but I don't have an author for that article. So I might say, in the article, The Black Plague for Dummies, and then I'll put my quote. Or you might say, according to the book, Julius Caesar 101, and then I'll put in my quote. So there are a lot of different ways you can segue into a quote. And I'm sure you've learned about these ways in English class before, so just you can use whatever your English teachers taught you, that's fine with me, but just make sure that you do have some sort of introduction into your quote and you don't simply just copy and paste the quote into your paragraph. All right, another reminder is that you need to format your quote properly. I believe we talked about this in Unit 8 at the very beginning of Semester 2. So when it comes to properly formatting quotes, make sure you do it like this. You put the quotation mark. You put in your quote. You put in a quotation mark. You put a space, parenthesis, last name of your author, parenthesis, period. Remember, the period goes outside of the parenthesis. All right, if you don't have an author, put the title of the article in the parentheses at the end of the quote. So here's my example again. Quotation mark, I'm the king of the world. Quotation mark, space, parenthesis, Titanic, parenthesis, period. So let's do a little quiz time. Which of the following quotes is properly formatted? Yes, hopefully you said A. So we have the quote mark here. We have the quote mark, parenthesis, name of author, parenthesis, period. All right, here's another quiz time. Now this is a quote without an author. Which of the following quote is properly formatted? Hopefully you said B. So again, quotation mark, then I have my quote, quotation mark, space, parenthesis, name of article, parenthesis, period. All right. After you are done putting in your quote, the next sentence immediately afterwards needs to explain why that quote is significant or important in at least one sentence. So, for example, here, so again, this is from my Clara Barton example paper. So my quote was, according to Lecha, caring for soldiers, including making bandages out of corn husks, she worked long into the night, assisting the surgeons, cooking food for soldiers, and tending the wounded, despite nearby cannon fire and bullets flying overhead. Okay? After that quote, I say, this quote is important because, okay? Then I explain why this quote is important. Okay, for example, I say it shows that she did every task for all the wounded soldiers, such as cooking, helping in surgery, and making bandages. That is essential. So you need to make sure after your quote, you say why it is important. And then at the very end of the body paragraph, you just have your outro sentence. So your outro sentence just typically sums up what you said in the paragraph and moves on. It can also link the topic of the paragraph to the next upcoming paragraph. So here's my example from my example essay. So I said, Barton was so brave that she did all of this while battles were going on and she could have easily been hit with a bullet. Like, kind of just sums it up nice and neat, moves on. All right, now you're going to repeat all these same steps for body paragraph number 2. I won't bore you by going through all these again. So again, whatever you do for body paragraph number 1, make sure you do it for body paragraph number 2. All right, then let's talk about the conclusion. So the conclusion paragraph is simply a summary or wrap up of what you talked about in your paper. Okay? One of the things that I want in your conclusion paragraph is restating the thesis statement. And I already kind of made it nice and pretty for you. So you will see this on your U14-L3 worksheet that I have for you. But with the conclusion, you're going to say, in conclusion, and then you're going to put the name of your historical figure, head and overall, again, positive, negative, choose one, impact on their society due to Y and Z. So remember, Y is the topic of body paragraph number 1. Z is the topic of body paragraph number 2. So there you go. Look at that. It's already there for you. And then after that, you are going to just do kind of a 1 to 2 or 3 sentence summary of the main points of your body paragraphs number 1 and body paragraphs number 2. And then at the very end of your conclusion paragraph, you are going to re-summarize the significance of learning about your historical figure, okay? So why is your historical figure important to learn about, okay? That is what makes a conclusion paragraph. All right, let's talk about step number 7. But before I do that, let me pause right now. Do you have any questions about the conclusion paragraph? All right, let's talk about the works cited. So works cited, you're going to insert a page break from the rest of your paper. So the citation is on a separate page. If you don't know how to do that, let me know. I will help you out. And on top of that new page, you're going to type works cited in the top middle of that page. So it looks like this, where it's works cited, just right smack dab in the top center of your page. I believe if everything works out right on your assignment of U14-L6, where you're going to write your historical figure paper, I've already made the page break for you. So hopefully that works out fine. With MLA citations, there's not really a great way to make them. My go-to is EasyBib. And if you have another website that you use, that's fine. You can do that too. EasyBib's ad are really stupid because there are so many of them. I know. I just don't have a better website to use, to be honest. So once you do EasyBib or whatever website you use for your citations, just copy and paste that citation and put it into your works cited. All right, next up, we're going to do how to do research. So when you are researching your historical figure, make sure that you are looking for trusted and academic sources. So here is a list of some of my favorite go-tos. Britannica, always a good option. Websites ending with edu, So typically universities have websites ending with edu, so they're typically a good choice. Also, websites ending with .gov, they're typically good too. Wolfram Alpha is kind of like an encyclopedia. National Geographic's is a great source. Smithsonian's a great source. Library of Congress is a great source, especially with the U.S. Library of Congress, because especially if you're doing something on like Central America or Latin America, that can be very helpful. History.com is always a good source. Yes, that is like the History Channel, history.com. But they're the people who write your textbooks, so yay. Then we also have PBS, BBC. I know BBC is a news source typically, but they do also have a lot of historical information, specifically if your person is from Europe, and even more specifically if they're from Great Britain. And then World History Encyclopedia, of course, is one of my all-time favorites. When you are researching, stay away from these sites, such as blogs, social medias, projects from other people. I know sometimes you'll type in someone's name and like a Prezi or something weird pops up. Don't go to any of those. Stay away from them. I don't know why, but some people like to go to Ducksters. Like, I don't get it. Yeah, stay away from that. Spark Notes or any other summarizing website, stay away. Any website that looks old or hasn't been updated since like, I don't know, 2014, I would stay away from. If you have questions about that or anything, you can like send me the link to a website, be like, hey, does this look good? I will totally respond to you about my opinion. As you read articles, make sure you're also marking quotes that you might think would be good to use. Keep track of all your articles. If you're like me, I'm one of those people who really stink at reading articles online. I have to print my articles and then I have to like mark them up with like highlighters and pencils and stuff like that. So if you're like that, that's awesome. All right. Also, go to your school library, okay? Ask your librarians for help with research. I'm dead serious when I say that, okay? They would be so overjoyed if you ask them for help. So they can help you with books, but they can also help you with websites. They have a lot more knowledge about search engines than I do. Also, you can use your textbook, and you're probably like, wait, we have a textbook? Yeah, we actually do have a textbook. It doesn't have a lot of specific information about individual people, but it can be a good starting point. School libraries usually do have copies of your textbook. If not, you can email me and I can see if there's anything said about your historical figure in the textbook and send you over some pages if you'd like me to. And of course, if you need help researching, please ask me. You can ask Mrs. Hinkle too, but ask me too, okay? This paper was kind of my idea, so ask me, okay? I have a lot of information and I can help you. So last minute reminders, make sure your entire paper is written only on the U14-L3 write historical figure here school G assignment. Failure to do so may result in a 0, okay? So make sure when you're typing, make sure it's entirely on that assignment. Have a friend, a parent or guardian, a trusted adult, an older sibling proofread your paper. AI use and or plagiarism will result in immediate 0, and there will be no chances to redo it. Usually in school, you'll have like a peer review workday. I don't know exactly how to do that with like online class. So I will make sure that sometime in Unit 15, we will have a day blocked off for you to redeem or fix any mistakes that you made so you can get the most points possible. A reminder again that your prompt, you need to choose if your historical figure had either a positive or a negative impact. You can't do both. So just a reminder, you need to choose either positive or negative, okay? Can't do both. Your paper must include the following: a minimum of 4 paragraphs, an intro paragraph, 2 body paragraphs, 1 conclusion paragraph, 1 thesis statement in your intro paragraph. Make sure you underline your thesis. Each of your body paragraphs need 1 direct quotes, typed in Times New Roman 12-point font, double spaced, a minimum word count of 500 words, which isn't that long if you think about it, and must include a works cited page with the 2 reputable resources. Again, this is due Sunday, April 28th at midnight. Okay, before I go on to say what we're doing next up, I'll pause here. Do you have any questions for me? All right, so next up, you are going to do U14-L4. That is the research worksheet. It is not graded. It is just a guide for you to organize your research materials. After that, you are going to do U14-L5, the historical figure paper outline. Do this after you're done researching, so you have lots of good information. And that one is graded. It is worth 5 points. And then after that, you're going to do U14-L6, write historical figure paper here. So yeah, then you get to start writing your paper at U14-L6. Again, let me know if you have any questions. So I will stop one more time and ask you, what questions do you have about writing this essay? All right, again, let us know if you have questions. Bye.